Welcome back on Your Corner in Baltimore City, where more than $90 million is going toward the renovation of 200 townhouses in the Poppleton neighborhood. So the Baltimore Affordable Housing Development is leading the renovation of the Towns at the Terraces community. That's what it's going to be called. The renovations include appliance upgrades, new flooring, updated fire alarms, and much more. New facilities will also be built on site, including a management office for the community. Well, it sounds like a great deal. Invest in rental property in Baltimore. Someone else will manage the property, collect the rent, and you take home the profits. That pitch has persuaded a number of foreign investors, most recently from Argentina, to hand over money. The problem is the houses aren't fit to rent and the profits don't arrive. And that is the subject of a new report by Justin Fenton with our media partner, the Baltimore Banner. Justin is joining us tonight. Thanks for coming in, Justin. Appreciate it. All right, so you cite an Argentinian man, Fernando Plastino, who purchased hundreds, up to 200 houses in distressed areas of the city, West Baltimore, et cetera, and then promised people he was going to turn them into rental properties. Well, what happened?
Yeah, this has been an interesting reporting journey that actually started 3 years ago with the simple premise of trying to answer who is responsible for these vacant homes, these homes that are falling apart, that have trees growing out of them. I expected to find some local investors who we could sort of name and shame, ask them why they're doing these things, but I stumbled onto something unexpected, which was that there was these networks of people selling homes to people in foreign countries. It was first one company selling them from Hong Kong to Chile to Israel, then another one in Turkey. And there was this other person who was on my radar who owned a lot of homes, but I didn't have much insight into it. So people came forward recently and told me, we're investors from Argentina. This man who lives in Potomac, Maryland, told us we should invest in Baltimore property. We'd make lots of money, and we haven't seen that. And so the story on the Baltimore Banner site goes into sort of what's going on with this latest unfortunate foreign investor scheme.
Why Baltimore?
I just talked about this in my last video about what's going on in Atlanta. I keep telling people, if you aren't from these cities, I don't care if it's Baltimore, Detroit, Atlanta, Florida, Georgia, stay away. Stay away. Like, let's think about this. Y'all spent $90 million on 202 homes. That's like $440,000 per home. Let that sink in. If you aren't from there, stay away. This isn't just the black community, how we talked about in my last video in Atlanta. This is everyone. You have no boots on the ground. You're trying to invest into a city that you have no understanding about. You have no idea. You're listening to somebody on the ground. It's like, hey, send me the money. And they fucked up $90 million. I've said it before and I said it again. Yes, I am in real estate. I flipped homes before. I've wholesaled. I am licensed in 4 states. The average person is not skilled enough to flip homes, to turn homes into rentals, Airbnbs, none of that stuff. It sounds good on face value on social media, and I'm pretty sure these guys from Argentina they're obviously accredited because they had $90 million, right? But they don't know anything about Baltimore. Let alone have to trust somebody. If I'm sending somebody $90 million, I'm there. I'm on their ass. Which I wouldn't do that in any case because I know better. But this is fucking insane. It's getting out of hand.
These foreign investors, why target our city and these particular neighborhoods?
The investors in many cases are actually like well-to-do people in their countries who have extra cash, and they're told that these investments, we have a stable currency, stable investment market. we're close to DC, and that this is sort of guaranteed money, but they don't really know what they're getting into. That these properties are not, they're in bad shape, as you mentioned, and there's a lot more work that goes into it. So at worst, people have alleged that this is sort of a Ponzi scheme situation. In the light most favorable, they're saying these people get in over their heads. They don't realize how much work it's going to take. They take on too many properties.
Yeah, you think, oh, well, these must just be a bunch of crooks, but you cite the fact that some of these investors actually came to Baltimore thinking that they were going to see places that were being rented and then discovered that this was not the case.
Yes, several of them have sort of tried to take control of the situation. They found different property managers. They're trying to salvage what's going on, but others have sunk a ton of money in already, and they don't have any more to put in. So they're sort of in flux, and unfortunately that leaves these neighborhoods in a bad shape.
Yeah, because it's not good for the city either.
You decided to bring your ass down there after the properties were already purchased. That's stupid. It's stupid. Why would you not go get boots on the ground first to see what you're buying? Think about that. 202 homes, 90 million. That's retarded. Like, straight up. It is what it is. Like, there's no excuse for that shit. And this is the actual article. So as you can see here, they were asked to pour cash into properties thousands of miles away in Baltimore through a fellow countryman living in the U.S. for a fee. Palestino and his companies promised to manage the properties, collect rent, and pass on the proceeds. But when the payments stopped coming, some investors say they eventually realized that they had been misled about the home's conditions, which made some nearly impossible to rent. The saga of the Argentinians is just the latest example of foreign real estate investors running into substantial problems after grabbing their slice of distressed Baltimore real estate. Let me educate you all on Baltimore really quick. It's not like any other city. The comparables are done block by block, meaning you could have one block where the homes are selling for $400,000 or $500,000, and then the next block over, the homes are selling for $5,000 and $10,000. It's different, but if you're not or on the ground, or if you're not from there, you don't understand these things. You have to know where you're investing and why you're investing, and I talked about this in my last video. If you're not from there, leave it the fuck alone. You're going to lose your money. I don't care where you live, and I don't care where you plan to invest. If you don't live there, and if you are not from there, you are going to lose your fucking money. And to add on top of it, that most people suck at this shit. This is a skill set. You have to have the right personality. You have to have the right crew. You have to be able to manage people. This isn't easy as it sounds on social media. Not saying that these guys in Argentina, if they got that kind of money to throw around, they're obviously well educated and well versed in something outside of real estate. Obviously not real estate. This should be a learning experience. I see this all the time. I'm trying to invest in a property. Invest in your neighborhood. That's the best. That's the best way to do it. If you own your home, you know how much you paid for it. You know how much it costs to get things done around the house. Invest over there. Stay the fuck out of these other places. And it's not greed, right? Where I'm thinking, I want to just have all the homes in Baltimore. Hell nah. I sold all my shit. I learned my lesson out there. Now, I know more now where if I were to purchase a home in Baltimore, there are certain areas that I would only purchase in. Like, Federal Hill. There are like one or two other places, in and around that area where I would purchase. But some of these places don't make sense for what they're trying to do. And you give the money to somebody else and they obviously mismanage the funds. This isn't a black thing. This happens to everyone that is from somewhere else, tries to come to Baltimore and pull this shit off. It's not going to work. You have to actually understand what you're flipping and why are you doing it, or where you are investing and why are you doing it. See, I can see right now that Baltimore is going through the same transition DC went through. Gentrification. I know that because I live outside of Baltimore and I'm starting to see my crime rate go up as Baltimore's crime rates goes down. So it's actually a slow moving process because Baltimore is so bad. Or was bad. I mean, it still is. There are some areas that are still bad. That are, you know, the condition of the homes and all that stuff. I think once they pass laws to be able to force squatters out a lot easier, it'll speed up. But the majority of the homes that are sitting here are either owned by banks or they're owned by investors that have done nothing. Give you some more game. If you want to invest in Baltimore, do not buy next to a board up. You can't rent it out and you can't sell it unless the person that buys it is paying cash. Outside of that, a lender, FHA loan, they're not going to lend on that property because next to a board up. Section 8 is not going to approve a voucher on that property. It's simple math that people do not understand. Stay away.